Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Frying Pan Podcast, the pop culture podcast, the number one in the world. Everybody knows this. It's me, your lovable, dashingly handsome host, Daniel, and I'm here with, sadly, no one. It's just me today. My near and dear friend Robbie has, he spread his wings. He got a new job. I'm so proud of him, and the timing of, trying to get an episode out and how it works out, just kind of didn't work out. So today you just get me, and I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. But today, we got good topics. It's going to be probably like a shorter episode just because, I'm only okay at doing these solo episodes. I mean, eventually it's like the more I do them, the better I'll get. But at the moment, I'm kind of whatever. But I also have a Spotify playlist called Jazz in the Background. And I encourage you, if you use Spotify, to go listen to it. Because goddamn, I am vibing right now. I'm having a grand old time. Let me see. What do we got today? I mean, I guess, we only start off with like how we're doing. And you'd be like, oh, Dan, how you doing? And I'm nothing really. But I mean, I guess the new thing is your boy is looking to be a little unemployed. It happens. But I'm setting my sights on becoming a mailman. Now, you might be thinking like, well, hey Dan, why? Why mailman? And honestly, well, first off, mailman, that's like 60 to 70,000 a year. That's kind of nice. And you're like a government, it's either government or state job, pretty much same thing, regardless. Fat benefits from that, so you'll love to see it. And I don't know, the idea of just being in a car all day, I think I can listen to music and just driving around throwing mail in the mailbox sounds like a good old time. I watched a dude, maybe like 5 years older than me, like speed around my neighborhood at 30 miles an hour and just fucking Tom Brady throw the mail in the mailbox with peak precision. And I'm like, shit, man, I could probably do that. Maybe someday, maybe not on the first day, but eventually I'll get there, right? You know what they say, practice makes perfect. It is what it is. But yeah, little recap from last week. Last week was election week. If you've been living under a rock, or maybe you're just not American, so you're not paying that much attention, which, hey, don't blame you. We live in America, and we also try not to pay attention to our own politics sometimes. But, good old Joe, Mr. Biden, caught the dub, most voted for president in the history, which we could talk about that for a second, because, like, I mean, yes, that's good, but it's also like, even if it wasn't him, they were going to get the most voted just because, like, the state of the U.S. is, like abysmal, to say the least. So, and literally how much people were pushing for voting, it's kind of, it was destined. It's just like, I hate when, like, outlets try to push, like, narratives on, like, very obvious stats, or, like, they really try to make the stats work. Like, they do it in sports a lot, where it'll be like, Tom Baker is the only first baseman with 5 fingers born between March 17th and June 12th to hit 2 home runs in a single day when the sun sets at 6:45 p.m. And it's like, you're reaching. I mean, like, cool. It's cool that you did the research to find that, but hey, you're trying a little too hard for that. That's okay. It's your job. You gotta push the narrative. You gotta sell the stories. You gotta get the Spider-Man. You know what I mean? And it's a Spider-Man reference. If you don't get it, again, it's on you. It's fine. I'm sorry. But on top of that, Biden wins. Trump, not a very graceful loser. He's suing some of the states and he's demanding recounts. And there was an interesting story of Trump's team booking at the Four Seasons. And you think Four Seasons like the luxury hotel chain. I guess it's a chain, but it's just like a well-known like luxury hotel. And no, they booked at the Four Seasons Landscaping Company in Philadelphia. Now, I don't know how you make that mistake, but I can't say it really helped in getting votes and being reputable. But a lot of Republicans and a lot of you know, I guess Republican content creators. When you think like your Ben Shapiro, your people like that, they're not too happy, and they're like, it's got to be fraud. There's got to be fake votes and shit like that. And it's just seems like kind of like a sore loser thing to say. But who am I to judge? I don't know politics that well. And I know the Texas governor apparently is offering $1 million out of his own pocket to campaign to find voter fraud evidence. Now, that's kind of weird, but I guess, gotta do what you gotta do. It's, very convenient that Texas is a very red state, but who am I? Who am I to, make assumptions or anything? I'm just your average Joe out there voting, but it's very nice. A couple things to take away. Kamala Harris, first female VP, very cool. But I was gonna say more importantly, but it's not more importantly, but it is cute. His dog, or Joe Biden's dog, is the first rescue dog to be in the Oval Office. And I think that's just darn right adorable. And that dog is super fucking cute. And it just makes me want a dog even more. So if anybody's looking to donate, a nice little German Shepherd on my front doorsteps, I wouldn't turn it away. Actually, I probably would because my apartment does not allow dogs. But besides the point, man, it's very interesting. It's very nice to see. It was very exciting to see on because it took till Saturday to get the final verdict, and when people got the verdict that Biden was like the winner, I do that in air quotes because I guess it's not set in stone yet because you never know what the fuck Trump's gonna try and do with like suing and twisting his narrative because you know how those people get down. But regardless, when Trump became president in a lot of the major cities, there's videos of people like screaming, well, not screaming, but like shouting with joy and like banging pots and pans. Like in Times Square, people were getting together, having a good time. DC, I think in LA, San Francisco, San Diego, like all major cities, everybody was very excited. It was very nice to see that instead of, always being divided, we have a little bit of unity for once and a little bit of, I guess, a positive outlook to look forward to, I guess, if that's how you want to word it. I don't know. It's very exciting to see. I'm very happy, very content, I guess. Obviously, for a lot of people, and probably most people, including myself, Joe Biden, probably not the first person we'd think, but what he's been pushing for and what his policies in terms of, I guess, reverting a lot of the things Trump put into action in terms of like global treaties and yeah, I guess just global treaties. And big one for me was push for climate change and like actually getting a grasp on it instead of just being like no, I don't think it's real. Um, he's pushing for he's trying to end systemic racism essentially, which is going to be a lot easier said than done because a lot of that stems from I guess generations and like how people raise their kids. I mean, obviously, like you want to instill like, hey, we're all created equal. We're all, love love everybody. But some people aren't born that way, and it's just the sad truth. Um, let's see what else. There was the taxing the rich, and as someone who's not rich, I don't mind. I don't mind being taxed less. For people that make that much money, unlucky, I guess. It's well, to be fair, a lot of people that make that much money make money based off other people, in my eyes. So it's kind of just a trade off at the end of the day. But very exciting stuff. Can't wait to see what happens. Oh, and probably most importantly, he's actually getting a team together to try and stop COVID or find I guess like a cure, like an end to it. And that is something we kind of fucking need because I'm tired of living in this goddamn limbo. I'd be okay with another lockdown. It's fine. It's okay. We need it at this point. Everyone's just it's a fucking mess and I don't like it. But yeah, obviously we try not to be too political here, but it's kind of hard to ignore it at this point, and like we need to talk about it at this point. I mean, like, there's a difference between like being a not political person, just being ignorant to it, and we don't want to be ignorant. We do our research, try to learn everything we need to learn, and yeah, help people be informed. I'm sure like this podcast isn't your number one way of learning what's going on in the US right now, but for people that are, I guess, younger and like don't understand it, and if they just like casually listen, give them an idea, but not, I don't want to like shove it down their throats, be like, hey, if you don't know politics, die, because that is not the case. Just want people to be informed, but we'd like to talk about politics less, but it's just the way the world at the moment. Hopefully that changes. That's the plan with Biden, at least. But we'll see when the time comes. Regardless, a little bit of sad news. Alex Trebek, you may know him as famous Jeopardy host for probably as long as you're born and your parents are born. He passed away from cancer, which he's been dealing with for a while, pancreatic cancer to be exact. Since, well, I guess he revealed it back in March of 2019. And I mean, this man's been doing this for, I think, 40 years? 40, 50 years this man has been running the show. And it's like, it's hard to picture a world without him because Jeopardy's such like an iconic thing. I mean, I know personally, I never went out of my way to watch Jeopardy, but like say if I'm visiting my grandparents, it always found its way on the TV somehow. I don't know how. I don't know if like Alex Trebek was just mind controlling people and that's why he was so good at his job, but people always watch Jeopardy for some reason. Like it's always entertaining and interesting. I would never deny that, but it's just the fact that like he was always on. It was either that or Wheel of Fortune, and there was no way around it, or like an old cowboy movie. I don't know if other people's grandparents were like this, but mine were. But regardless, he passed away. But it's not too sad because a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but he said over the past year, he's like, hey, when it's my time to go, I go. I've lived a good life. I won't be upset. Not a direct quote, but just verbatim, it's what he said. So it's nice to see that he's like, hey, I lived my life. I enjoyed my life. And if my time comes, it comes. And I feel like that's the best way to have an outlook on death. I mean, it do be inevitable, not to get too, depressing or like psychologic, but it's pretty inevitable. So eventually it'll happen. You just kind of hope, at least for him, he was 80 years old, so he definitely lived a good life, and he definitely accomplished a lot, especially with Jeopardy. I don't know if he's done too much outside of Jeopardy, but I don't know, man. He's just super iconic. I've never heard anything bad about Alex Trebek, so very, very sad to see the passing. Hope his family's okay. Thoughts and prayers with them, of course. I don't know how Jeopardy would be continuing. I feel like it's very difficult to replace that guy. I mean, I guess there's a lot of shows. I mean, I don't know if you can compare Jeopardy to like late night shows, but say Jon Stewart in The Daily Show, when he was announced he was leaving, it was kind of hard to think of a show without him. But who is it? Trevor Nolan? First name Trevor. God, I can't remember the last name for some reason. But he does a great job now, so shout out to him on the side. And I guess it's a lot of shows like that where you never think the person is replaceable. And I wouldn't say like he's replaceable. It's just that due to the unfortunate circumstances, if the show must go on, it must. It's just hard to think of any person right now that could replace him aside from like just like a brand new face, you know? But regardless, rest in peace to Alex Trebek. Hope he's kicking in heaven. I wonder if he definitely got tired of it after a while, you think, right? Like, he probably liked showing up to work every day, but I guess, I don't know. I don't think I could be a Jeopardy host. I know I couldn't be a Jeopardy host. But anyways, there's a fun little article from the Daily Mail on favorite side dishes for Thanksgiving across the U.S. Because I guess, what's today, the 11th, the 12th? Yeah, it's the 11th for me. And it's honestly right around the corner, which is weird to think. I don't know, this year is felt so long, but these past 3 months have felt so short. I don't know how to describe it. It's been very odd. I don't know if people can relate to that, but it's definitely like, I guess the beginning of COVID, like March, made this year feel like an eternity to where like February and January were just kind of feel like last year. I don't know. But regardless, Thanksgiving just around the corner, and we got a little map to identify everything. And let's see. If you live in California, Colorado, Connecticut, Illinois, Minnesota, Montana, Nevada, North Dakota, Washington, and Wisconsin, mashed potatoes is your number one. And as someone who lives in Connecticut, my mom's mashed potatoes are God's gift to the world. And you know, obviously, be like, well, my mom's broccoli casserole is that. Well, that's my mom's mashed potatoes. My mom's mashed potatoes are the best, and it is not even close. I've never had mashed potatoes that compare, and that's just a cold hard fact. So shout out my mom and the mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving. I will say Thanksgiving's gonna be really weird this year. I mean, I know personally, you know, a lot of our family doesn't live near us. They live like a few states away, so traveling isn't really gonna work. So we're just kind of doing it alone. I don't know. Let me know what you're doing for Thanksgiving. If you're seeing your family, that's cool. I hope you do. But if you can't, then I'm sorry, and I understand. But let me see. There was one thing that I thought was interesting. Well, surprisingly, mashed potatoes was Idaho's number one pick, which is, you know, you think potato, you think Idaho. Kind of weird, Idaho. Kind of sus, can't lie. But they like green bean casserole. So did Arizona, Michigan, Nebraska, New Mexico, Ohio, and Texas. And the one thing that I thought was I've never had before, and I wonder if people can tell me, is Alaskans like hash brown casserole. And the thought of hash brown casserole sounds so goddamn good. I don't, is it just an Alaskan thing? Because I've never heard of hash brown casserole. I mean, does it sound like a lot of calories and very fattening? Yes. Am I down for that? Yes. I I'm gonna try and convince my mom, be like, hey, you ever heard of hash brown casserole? And she'll be like, no. And I'll be like, well, I got news for you. And yeah, you know, you got the normals like potato casserole, broccoli casserole, and then mac and cheese. Obviously, the link to the map is in the description, so if you're interested, give it a look. There's a couple of these that are weird. Like, there's a couple outliers where they're like, "Oh, cream corn is my favorite," and it's like, you could do better, man. I don't know. Cream corn, not my cup of tea. Personally, if you know who Badlands Chugs is, he's a guy on YouTube that drinks things very fast. You've probably seen clips of him. He did a chug challenge of like 7 cans of cream corn. Now, I don't think I can ever eat cream corn again because of it, and that's just how it is sometimes. It's just the tragedy of it. Not that I wouldn't say I was the biggest fan of cream corn beforehand, but it definitely, you know, was the nail in the coffin of like, hey, I'm not eating this shit, and it is not my fault. It is Badlands Chug's fault. So, I mean, he also did like thick water. He was someone that popularized like thick water. I guess not popularized because like for people that need thick water, it's already popular. And if you don't know what thick water is, it's exactly what it is. It's like water with the consistency of like honey. And I don't know what your preference is, but personally, not my cup of tea, sadly. But regardless, let me see. What else can I talk about? One thing that happened today is I don't know how many people are on social media or ever see Britney Spears, but Britney Spears like will occasionally post like videos of her like awkwardly dancing, and you know, originally I didn't think anything of it, but apparently like Britney Spears is just kind of like I don't know how to describe it, like under control, like completely like financially, mentally, and physically, like she can only do certain things, and it's because of her father. And apparently there was a court appeal for her to remove her father from the conservationship, which is like not have to be monitored 24/7. Like if you ever, I implore you to read some articles or do a little research on how Britney Spears lives now, like after her fame, it's actually terrifying. She's basically like monitored 24/7, like for everything, like how much she can spend, what she can do. And keep in mind, it's like with her money in her house. It's kind of just terrifying. I don't know the very specifics of it, but she is not in a good place and it's kind of out of her control and it's very scary to see, especially with like I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's like maybe they think she's like mentally unstable or if her because it's her father and I want to say it was her like label or something. I've been just entirely under control of everything she does, and that's so terrifying to me. I don't know. God bless Britney Spears. I hope she finds a way out of that. But yeah, no, it's kind of terrifying. But let's see. What else do we got on the menu today? Oh, well, here's a little update for you if you're curious about the lettuce situation in America. Um, if you live in one of 19 states, romaine lettuce is getting recalled, so don't buy romaine lettuce for a little bit. That's just, a little word to the wise. Why? And that's the question, here, I got you. Why is romaine lettuce always being recalled? And why is romaine lettuce always, like, about ready to kill people for some reason? I don't know. I feel like I've never seen more recalls of any product in the world than just romaine lettuce. There'll be the occasional, like, oh, there's like razor blades in the Goya beans, casually. But just romaine lettuce is just like, I don't know if people are just spitting and pissing and shitting in every romaine lettuce shipment, but goddamn, it sure as hell feels like it. Like we've talked about, not that I'm the biggest romaine lettuce fan. Lettuce is just kind of crunchy water. It's just kind of there. But I don't know. It's fucking weird to me. If you want a cooking update, I'm making Korean fried chicken this weekend. And if you want, I can link the recipe below. But I've never like messed with some of the spice. Like I've never messed with gochujang, which is like very popular in Korea. And they kind of like it's like I guess ketchup for us, where we just slap that shit on everything. We're like, yep, it's good. Everything's good now. So that'll be interesting. I'm excited to try it. Different method to, frying the chicken. You know me, always advantageous, always looking for new ways to expand my culinary horizon. I say as I make like a quesadilla every weekend because I just cannot be bothered. I don't know. Especially with how the weather's been. Well, I guess the weather hasn't been bad recently. Like past week, it's been nice, but on like kind of like cloudy, cold, rainy days, you're like, I just kind of want a comfort food. And what gets more comforting than cheesy goodness? I'm telling you. Honestly, I feel like everyone's comfort food is either like pasta, something cheesy, or maybe like a meat or like a chicken or a steak or something. That is, I feel everybody's comfort. Ooh, or something with potatoes. Like mashed potatoes, maybe some fries, maybe I don't know, whatever the fuck you're feeling. But that's that's my culinary corner of the day, as you can see. I don't know, man. I really gotta like practice doing podcasts by myself more. I've been meaning to like start a podcast that's just me and it's just like if I'm thinking about something a lot, just talk about it. I guess like as my own personal therapy. Um, I don't know. Like it'd be something that like I don't care if people listen to, but it's just kind of something for me because I feel like I need to get better at projecting myself and like not trying to because I find myself thinking like obviously like if there's a pause and I can just edit it out later, but I always feel like I need to be like on the nose, super consistent. Like I got to keep going, no pauses, and then I just start rambling, and then I'm not making any sense, and then I'm just like tripping over my words, and there's no like I'm not thinking of the next thing to say. I'm just trying to get through what I was saying, and I think that's probably my biggest fault. Of like you think after I've done like 105 episodes. I'd be good at it, but doing a podcast is so much easier when you have someone to like bounce ideas off of. It's just it's like having a conversation with someone is a lot easier than having a conversation with yourself, pretty much. Believe it or not. Granted, I'm sure everybody talks themselves and everybody talks to people, so you be the judgment in that, I guess. But I don't know, man. I do want to. I keep wanting to do more podcasts and like more like content, but I never use my time wisely enough. I'd say the only way I've been efficient with my time recently is I've been learning French again, and I'm actually learning new things in French. You'd think after the because you know I took 4 years of French in high school, and I don't think I learned anything other than passé composé, which is past tense, and I feel like I don't know shit from that. But like I'm starting to like relearn like the basics, and I'm just like, how did I not know this? Just like how to say like good night, see you tomorrow and shit like that. And it's very like, was I a bad learner or was my teacher bad? Granted, my French teacher was in very French, to say the least. So sometimes it was very hard to understand him, and he didn't understand English that well sometimes. So it was hard to meet in the middle and like, oh, this is what it means in English. This is what it means in French. Like he'll say, he'd say like, oh, something in French, and they'd be like, what does that mean in English? But not as like as if we knew, but just kind of like, hey, what's this mean in English? I don't know either. But do you guys know? And we're like, we don't even know what that note means in French. So like, there'd be kids that just like Google Translate and be like, I think it means like Turkey or something. And he's like, ah, yes, that is it. And it was, I don't know. He's a very good guy. He didn't like me, but to be fair, I was the biggest piece of shit in high school, I tell you. I was such a bad student and such a bad person. I had no respect at all whatsoever for my teachers, and I felt, I don't know. I guess it's just hindsight 2020. Like at the time I didn't think much of it, but there was like I remember my statistics class, I fucking I knew I didn't need the class, and I should have just dropped the class cuz I only needed 3 years of math, but I was like, I guess we're going down swinging. So I would, my mom will listen to this, so she'll realize that I skipped the class a lot of times. And there was one time I wrote on a test like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I don't want to be here." And then the teacher like sent it to my parents, and in my head I'm like, "How's that disrespectful?" But I was just a shitty 17-year-old kid, and I didn't know any better. But now that a few years have passed, I'm like, hey, I'm an awful human being. I'm sorry. And, I guess better late than never, but I'm never going to be able to apologize to that person because I don't ever plan on going back to my high school unless I need like a transcript or something. But I don't know, man. It's weird looking back on like who you were as a person to see if you've grown or not. I know personally, I think I've definitely grown as a human being mentally. I guess. I don't know. I guess even if I have a hard time giving myself credit to say I have. I don't know, man. I guess in 10 more years, I'll probably be able to give a better verdict on if I was a better person. So I guess hang on for 10 years when we're still doing the podcast and we're at episode like, what would that be, like in the thousands? Probably. That's if, I don't know, that's if it keeps going for that long. We'll see. Hopefully. I intend to do this shit as long as I see fit. Because it's just, it's something nice to do once a week. Something just to have like a constant variable throughout the week, especially during these times. I mean, I guess everybody's got a podcast nowadays, but it's nice to know that like I've been doing it for almost 3 years now, and like if I can slap it on a resume and be like, hey, here's my work. Like I have like a portfolio now. It's nice to know that like I've done something, I guess. But granted, it hasn't, hasn't been, it worked once, but it hasn't been working otherwise since. That's why I'm like, I guess we're doing mailman. And the benefits are nice, but I don't know, man. I guess, if you've been debating on doing something or have had like an itch to doing something, just get on it, man. Just do it. I've always had that problem of, like not either starting something and not finishing it, or like starting something or just never starting at all because I never think it's worth my time. So I'm very happy to have been this consistent with this. Granted, some episodes are better than others. I would not disagree with that. Sometimes it's hard to keep the same energy week in and week out, but we try our best. Some days are just better than others. Sometimes we don't want to do Tuesday because one of us had a bad day, and then maybe Wednesday the other person's not having a good day. But we find a way around it. We find a workaround. If you are looking for a job at ESPN, I would advise you probably won't get it because I guess ESPN, amidst all the COVID and everything that's been going on, are laying off a lot of people, and I know they're like cutting a few departments. I know their whole ESPN esports thing they had going for a while is they put the can on that or put it in the can because I guess they didn't see enough revenue coming from it or whatnot. Which I kind of find interesting because like with the state of sports at the moment, you'd think esports being like video games and like online competition is obviously the numbers aren't going to be the same as like NBA or whatnot in its prime time, but like I know baseball, they had a lot of problem with COVID and like a short season and all that jazz, and every sport pretty much had to deal with that. NBA did good with the bubble, but like you'd think like with online, um, like it's you're not really losing viewers because most of the viewers are online. I guess like the revenue is a lot different between the two air quote sports, so I guess that makes sense. But I know ESPN's cutting a lot of people because of COVID, so if you're looking for a job in that, good luck. And also, if you're interested in getting a next gen console, I think that comes out or came out this week. Good luck in that as well. That's a lot of money that I don't have or don't want to spend, so I know I'm not hopping in on that. But if you're looking for it, go for it. Pull the trigger. Why not? I will say there are a lot of reports coming out on the new Xbox. They're overheating and smoking, which is, a little startling and, a little less than desirable. But I'm sure that's only like small cases and it's not like the majority. It's just a small minority of consoles are doing that. But just a heads up. Haven't heard anything bad about the PS5 yet. If you're, so inclined to lean that way, if you want to take my word on it, me being the gaming god guru that I am, I know it's understandable to be intimidated, but don't be. It's fine. I'm human just like you guys. I am so stupid. It's so disappointing. I mean, like I said, it's definitely going to be like a shorter episode because I don't I don't know. I guess I wasn't that really well prepared this week. I won't disagree. I did ramble a lot, talked about things that were off topic, and the things that were on topic I talked about them for like 5 minutes. Like I said, like we say every week, we do this to get better, and I'm trying. I'm doing my darndest. I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's just like, some weeks. I mean, that's an issue, heads up if you're interested in starting your old pop culture podcast, is your content purely is, designed on if something interesting happens in the past week, if you're going week to week, which it's pretty easy to find. Sometimes you just gotta look in like certain nooks and crannies, and sometimes maybe your audience might not be into that. So it's either you run the risk of like, hey, here's something you might not know about, and maybe it could be interest you, or like you don't care about that. In fact, you hate it, so you don't listen at all. So that's just the way of it, sadly. But I mean, it is what it is. It's the same with the news. That's why the news is most often depressing. And then we try not to be, but some like we always say, some weeks are better than others. Like the past month has just been politics, and like I said, we're not a political podcast, but it's literally all that's going on in the world. Unless you really want to dig deep, and then Bobby's coming out of left field and he's like, there's weed on the moon or something. He's got his weed topics or his environmental topics, which, I always love hearing, but he's got to dig deep for those sometimes. Or sometimes they're not even from the past. We could be from like 2017 and I'll read the article and I'm like, huh, so this happened 3 years ago, but they're none the wiser. They won't know about it. I might have spilled the secret, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. I said that a lot. This podcast. But regardless, um, Yeah, man, start a podcast. Why not? Just don't do pop culture one because then you're gonna have to fight us for it. And us being the number one pop culture podcast in the world, 3 years running, it's just an uphill battle for you. And I don't want to see you get discouraged and have to quit so early on. I want to see you succeed. It's just it's hard to beat the conglomerates in the industry, which is us. It's, I might be lying. Maybe I got my numbers a bit wrong. It is what it is. But regardless, I think I think we got enough content to, get around the 30-minute mark because we're kind of nearing an hour. It's weird. It's so weird talking to yourself for an hour because I keep thinking in the back of my mind, like, somebody's listening to me and is ready to just be like, is this dude talking to himself for like an hour? And it's like, yes, I am. Well, technically, I'm talking to you if you're in your car right now or if you're just, listening, working out, doing some chores, giving you a little bit of content throughout the day, free of charge. I mean, if you want to donate to me and you want to give me like tens of thousands of dollars, I'm not opposed. Okay? I'm just going to say it. If you want to give me money, I'm not mad. I'd accept it. Not really. I'm like, I don't know how other people are, but I'm so bad at accepting gifts or like anything from anybody. Like if any, there's been a lot of times where like I'll go on a trip with my friends and like if I drive, they'll be like, "Oh, I'll pay for dinner for you, man." It's like, no, no, it's fine. You can't do that for me. And if like anyone wants to buy me anything, no, don't even try it. Because I feel so guilty. I don't know what it is. Like I just don't feel like I deserve that kind of I guess niceness from people. And I don't know if that's just me being like pessimistic, because I try to lean more optimistic than the other way. But I don't know, man. I don't like gifts. I don't like getting gifts. It just feels so awkward because I always think like it's not comparable, but I don't know if you can relate to say getting like gifts from like an in-law or something, or not just like an aunt or an uncle during Christmas time when you were a kid, and it's like, oh, we got you a pair of socks, and you got to be like, oh, I needed socks, thanks. I mean, granted, nowadays if someone gives me socks, like I'm like, hey, I really appreciate this. I need this, like in all seriousness. But as a kid, you kind of have to like lie and be like, oh yeah, yeah, I love this. And I always get that like flashback in my head of like, do I sincerely want this or need this? And then I just feel bad. I'm like, well, they're giving it to you. You should just be grateful. I don't know. Maybe it's just a mental block with me. I hope some people can relate so I'm just not the weirdo. I don't want to be the outlier. No, I normally am. That's just the way it is. But yeah. Regardless, time fucking flew. Holy shit! How'd I get to be near an hour? I don't know. Maybe I should do this more often, even if it's just like to practice by myself. Even if it like never sees light of day. Maybe it's just I don't know. I'm gonna do a better job at like presenting myself and delivering content. Even I don't know. And I say all right. That's the one thing I gotta stop is I'm saying I don't know. Um, and that's just me and shit like that. And it's just in a need to try and buy time. Like, and I guess saying I guess I say that one a lot too. I almost did it again. Fuck. I mean, I guess it's a good thing I did a solo episode because now I'm seeing like the my ticks, you know, or the things that like I need to work on. So I'm gonna try and improve. I think I'm going to try and do the solo podcast thing. Obviously, I'll still gonna be doing this one with Bobby. It was just he was out this week, so he was like, "Hey man, sorry, you either do solo or we can do it next week." And I'm like, I'll do solo. I like doing a solo. It's fun. It's a new challenge for me, I guess. I need to get better at presenting myself for sure, and the only way I'm gonna do that is with practice. So hopefully, well, not hopefully you see more from this, but hopefully maybe I'll do a little solo podcast action. Maybe people listen, maybe not, but if not, it's more of a for me thing to try and get better at speaking to myself because it's such an awkward thing when you don't do it. Like I don't know, it's one thing if like you're in a call with someone and obviously they're not in the room, but you're talking to someone. In this case, it's just me, got my mic in my hand, and I'm looking at my monitor or my Audacity levels to make sure I'm not peaking or like frozen or anything. And then my other monitor, I see I got my jazz, which has been nice. It's very calming and helpful. I think it's one thing I'll need before I get good at it. But I'm sorry if this episode, wasn't up to our standards. Like I said, this is essentially like a practice episode. I guess it's kind of like a filler in the arc. If you're a Naruto fan, you got like 700 of those to come, I guess. But regardless, um, I guess thank you for listening to the Frying Pan Podcast. The pop culture podcast, number one podcast in America. Rated 6 stars. We go above and beyond 5 stars. We're just that good. Um, if you follow Robert on any social media, please send him some well wishes. Tell me you miss him, and we'll catch you next week. You can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, or whatever it is. Is it iTunes, Apple? I don't fucking know anymore. I don't do the outro, but Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, literally anywhere you listen to podcasts, except for like the Google Play Store and SoundCloud, just because SoundCloud is That's for my mixtape. Um, I don't really use, he always says like you can follow us on social media, but I'm the one that uses that, and I haven't in a while, just because like I don't feel like we're big enough to the point to warrant it, and like I did it before, but obviously it's not gonna attract new people when the only people that follow it are the people that listen to it. Unless you're telling your friends to follow it, then I'll get back on it. But I'd say just you can follow me on Twitter, or you can follow Bobby on Twitter. I normally post something out. Haven't in the past few weeks. I've been trying to gauge on if the interaction from Twitter helps the view or the numbers of people listen, and it showed it has. So I'm gonna start doing that again this week. Anyway, folks, sorry for a shorter episode. Sorry for just me. Sorry if I rambled a lot. I will get better. And I hope to see you again next weekend. Well, next week, whenever you listen to it. I don't know. I hope you have a nice week. Have a great day. Tell your family you love them. Tell someone you love them. Be kind. Spread positivity. Pay it forward. All that jazz. And I'll catch you on the flip side, my dudes.